Co-Anglers Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John.
How y'all are? Cajun Rob here hanging out with you.
All right. We're going to have our guest on here in a little bit. Josh Plaidy's with Clutch Swimbaits. He's in a traffic jam at this point in time. So once he gets home, he's going to pop in and see us. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Look forward. He builds some of the best stuff. I mean, just the way I actually seen he had a set up at the East Tennessee Fishing Show, and I was really impressed with the fit and finish of his stuff. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, he's there. We go. Got a first comment already.
We're going. Wait.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, I have a couple swim baits here, still brand new in the pack.
Yep.
I have not tried them at all. I'm not exactly sure what to throw them on. I'm sure Joel have a.
Oh yeah.
Have a thought on that, but
I've been with a couple of boaters. Seem like they bring when they get a limit, then they bring that big old glide bait out, and they'll start. Yeah. So that they're looking for a big one. They throw that, and usually it is. So it's pretty impressive. But I've seen a few guys that use that as their kicker bait, as to say.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Why not throw it all day though? Get 5.
That's true.
No, it just depends on where you're at, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But no, I'm a little more on the ball this time. I have two tournaments coming up. Cool. Middle of August, registered, and I remembered that we have them.
Yep, that's a plus.
Yeah, because the last couple of them, it's been like, oh shoot, I got a tournament this week. I better start getting ready.
Well, wait a minute. I got to play you. Have you signed up for Side Pot yet?
No. I got time.
I know you do. But see, you always remind me, so I got to remind you. So
that's fine. I appreciate it. Looking out.
Yep.
I think I finished 3rd or 4th or 5th, or I don't know. I finished out of the money on the last side pot, so I didn't have a good tournament.
Oh yeah, there's more and more people get into it. So it'll pay out more and more places. So it's growing. It's growing.
Yeah, and if anything we can do, and we talked to Luke a little bit, and anything we can do to help him get that going.
Absolutely. Great. I mean, I say, guys, man, if you sign up for that side pot, you're competing against the other anglers that's in the side pot. Whether you're a boater or co-angler, BFL opens. Like I said, I've had a BFL regional. I finished 77th, and on the way home, I was in it, and I said, "Well, I know I didn't win anything." And then our buddy Rusty Odom calls me, says, "Hey, congrats!" I'm like, "For what?" He says, "You won side pot." I'm like, "Hey, cool." And another cool thing, I mean, when you win or you place Monday morning, your check goes in the mail. So you don't have to wait to the end of the month, end of the season, like some of the contingencies. But he mails them out pretty quick to you.
Yeah, he does. Another guest we got coming on here shortly is Tad with Crush It Gel.
Yep.
Or Crush It Scent. I used that in my first tournament I used it for the first time in a tournament on Sunday. And I was throwing some power bait stuff. And I wasn't getting bit. And I switched over to Old Faithful. John Adams with Star Lures put one of his baits on. Same exact shape and color. Black,
Yep. Hard to go wrong with there.
Yep. Put some of that bass crack on there and got my limit, and
that stuff works well. It sticks well. I mean it
does.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
There he is.
All right, so we're gonna bring Josh on, let him talk about Swimbaits and his company, and welcome into the show. So
absolutely, look forward to it.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, I want to learn how to throw these big things because I know smallies eat them.
Oh, big largemouth eat them too.
Oh yes. All right, let's welcome Josh to the show.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Josh. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, good seeing you guys. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How's it going this evening?
Doing good.
Well, thanks. Want to thank Travis Birch for getting me in contact with you. Travis was the man who said, "Hey, talk to Josh and get him on."
Travis
It'd be a great
guy.
show.
There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Rob and I were talking, and that's one of the things I want to learn how to do is throw the bigger swim baits. I'm in New York, and smallmouth will crush them. I know they do.
Oh yeah, largemouth up there too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of largemouth. What was it? I think Polnick was throwing a glide on Champlain last time they were up there, wasn't he?
Yep.
I think he was.
Yep.
He
Yep.
was throwing big largemouth on it.
Yeah.
Shallow. So it works in a lot of places. Like I grew up fishing in Kansas, and actually right down the road pretty much from Ned Cady, the guy with the
Yep.
Ned rig guy.
Yeah.
Everyone in Kansas was thinking like, oh, you got to throw these tiny little 3-inch plastics and everything. And it's you can catch them on a glide bait regardless of where you live. It's more a territorial thing. It's not necessarily like, oh, we don't have fish big enough for that. I promise you do.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're maybe in Alaska or Hawaii or something.
Right. Now, the funny you say that. The funny thing is, the first fish I ever caught on a jig, I threw a 1 ounce jig. It was about a 3-inch bluegill, and I actually hooked it in the mouth. It was about this long.
It's wild
like
how big of things fish will eat. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it sounds stupid, and I've talked about this before. It's like fish don't know how big they are. Like they don't have ears. Like the only frame of reference that they have is how big of things that they've eaten in the past. So like they can't really tell how big it is. Or they look at it like, man, I think I can fit that in my mouth, and then they try and like they do or they don't. But
yeah.
Absolutely. And I've saw largemouth, like one have a jerk bait or crankbait be coming to the boat, and another one's trying to knock it out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And you get both of them. Or the bigger fish gets it, knocks the other one off. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So I just want to say, if anybody has any questions for Josh about swim baits, now's the time to ask. But what got you into swim baits, Josh?
Just trying to be different. Like we talked about earlier, the Ned Cady was down the road, and everyone in Kansas is obsessed with the Ned rig. Everyone was throwing these little 3-inch things, and everyone's obsessed with like, oh, you got to throw one with a red head. You got to throw one with a chartreuse head. And I was like, I don't want to throw any of it. So I started watching some like tactical bass and stuff, and started learning about these big swim baits and hearing that, oh yeah, you can apply those to all kinds of different bodies of water, and then started applying them in my own and started getting results, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Nice.
Absolutely.
John Adams says, good afternoon, guys. Hey, John.
How's it going, John?
Barking Rugers, I don't have a single clutch swim bait, but that's due to the lack of availability locally. There's nothing like a hammer bite on a large hard swim bait. Absolutely explosive. Well, you don't have to worry about it. Just look at that banner down below, and you can go right there and go to clutchswimbaitsco.com. You can order them right there.
So actually, so typically on the website, we don't have a lot of baits. We actually have bosses available on the website right now. I think it's pretty much, I'd have to check. I think we've pretty much got bare bone left up there. But Ecos, OGs, and Darters are always readily available on Tackle Warehouse.
Okay.
You don't have the color that you want, but Tackle Warehouse, Lake Pro Tackle carries them. Man, I'm forgetting people. Hammond Sporting Goods, Lures and Lead has probably the biggest darter selection out of anyone right now. So if you do a Google search, type in Clutch Swimbait Co., we'll pop up in a bunch of variety of different retailers, and we try to make our stuff readily available. Swim baits are too many people are being really exclusive with it, and we definitely don't try to play that game.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, I've run into you guys at the East Tennessee Fishing Show, and man, you had some great stuff, man. I mean, I was really impressed with your stuff, and man, your booth was always crowded. Every time I walked by, there was a crowd. So,
I love that show. Last year,
you guys are knocking it out.
Yeah, last year was our first one there. I love that show. We'll be back every year. It's so much fun.
Awesome. I'll be seeing you there. I'll be there for sure.
Now, for someone, Barking Rivers, I've heard nothing but good things about them. Just haven't got my hands on one yet.
I hear you. It's expensive. Like they're big resin swimbits are expensive, and it's really hard to get into them. And that's why we kind of came out with the eco. It's like, and there's a lot of plastic ones out there, but at the end of the day, a plastic bait's never going to be able to perform like a resin bait does. A resin bait carries more momentum through the water. It's more buoyant than an actual plastic bait. And because of those two factors, it allows it to perform better, be able to swim wider, be more choppy, be more stable. And then all of those basically add up to more fish. So I'd like to say you get what you pay for, but there's definitely some companies out there kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but if you stick with a reputable brand, if you stick with a bigger brand, a resin bait, it's going to outperform a plastic bait. So that's kind of where you kind of get what you pay for there. Just do some research and due diligence on what companies you go with.
Yeah.
Now, is a resin usually heavier than plastic, isn't it?
So it's heavier, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's less buoyant. So
okay.
Momentum is mass times velocity. And so the more either you have more velocity with it, which, I mean, that's kind of, sometimes you don't want a lot of velocity. Sometimes you want that slow, wide glide, in which case the mass is going to be able to be your main contributing factor to the performance of the bait. So resin is more, it weighs a lot more than a plastic bait. Plastic bait's the way that plastic derives its buoyancy is through air, where resin is more micro balloons. So it's, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, and I don't need to.
Oh, you good? You good, man?
I can ramble for a long time on that. Resin's going to perform better. It's got more mass to it. It's more buoyant. It's going to perform better than a plastic bait.
Okay. Now,
I got you.
I'm along with you. I'm one of the guys, and probably the only person in New York who tournament fishes who's never caught a fish on a Ned rig. And
I'm sure up there that's different.
Yep.
And I get picked on for that. But I want to. I want. No, I don't want. What's that?
What do you throw up there?
Drop shot mainly.
Okay, gotcha.
Drop shot.
Yeah.
A half ounce, 1 ounce football head jig.
Yeah, up there, like the Ned rig's like king, isn't it?
Well, it's supposed to be. I don't like it though. I'm like you. When back when I first started, I was throwing 1 ounce jigs, and everybody else was throwing 3/8.
Yeah.
So
you probably caught bigger fish too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, with drop shot, the lightest weight I you throw is a half ounce.
Yeah.
Everybody else is up here throwing 1/8, quarter. I'm like, well, have fun.
The bigger ones bite it, moving faster.
Yeah.
There you go. Get that reaction bite. Get a reaction bite.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit there and wait for him for 20 minutes to bite.
Yeah.
I can make 15 casts, 20 casts. But no, I've never thrown a swim bait.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, I'll say 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember. My buddy talked me into getting some of the S waivers when they came out. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, I don't want something like everybody else has. So I bought a couple blanks, S waiver blanks, shipped them off to a buddy of mine. He painted them. Well, I've still yet to make a cast with them. All right. and part of it is a confidence thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly, people say you got to throw them with braid. You have to use an extra stiff rod. And, so I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, so getting caught, I'm assuming, is it the 168 size? So like the mid-range size, it's about.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It's about 9 or 12 inches.
Oh, so the big one. You got the bigger ones. Okay. Yeah. So
we're not going small here.
I gotcha. Because I know a lot of people, like, they start out with the S Waiver 168. And I think the one you're talking about is the 210.
I think it is.
Okay. So whether it's the smaller ones or the bigger ones, like, getting confidence in throwing a swim bait's a really kind of daunting task. Like, that's a lot of hang up for a lot of people. Like, there's a lot of people that have a very extensive swim bait collection that just never throw it. And it's kind of, what am I trying to say? it's a lot easier to get bit on them than a lot of people think. Like, so
Yeah.
for example, like you don't just catch big fish on these things. Like I went out and threw the Eco, which is 6-inch bait, 6.25-inch bait. I threw that on Sunday. I was only out there for 2.5 hours. I caught 25 fish on it, and only 2 of them over 15 inches long. Like they were mostly 12 to 14 inchers. Ton of bites, and not hardly any keepers. So like a small bait, like I mean, in most people's mind, a 6-inch bait is still really big, but it's not. It doesn't just catch the big ones. You get a lot of really small bites on it too. Like the amount of times I've gone out there with the bait you're talking about when I was first getting started, because that's where I started too, was a big S-waver, and the amount of non-keepers I caught on that thing was insane. So like it's really not that hard to get a lot of bites on it. It's just you got to throw it, and like it's so hard to like keep throwing it when you've gone 5 casts without catching one, because you're like, man, I've got all this confidence in the drop shot. I got confidence in this jig. I want to pick this back up and keep going with it. But if you leave everything else at home, just take that one rod with you, 1 or 2 rods, you might want to back up. Just dedicate your whole day to that thing. You're going to get confidence in it really quick. And it's one of those things that snowballs too. Cause I'm sure a lot of people are this way with a chatterbait, is like, man, it was hard to get that first bite on it. But once you got your first bite, well, 2 was easier, 3 was even easier. And it just keeps snowballing after that. Glide baits are no different. There's a big mystique about it, thinking that you're fishing for only big fish. And it's in a lot of people's head is what it boils down to.
Okay.
I got you.
So with that, what would I like rod wise, like the 12-inch baits, or, is it something I'm going to need a broomstick for, or something with a soft tip?
Not at all. So I think actually, it's back there somewhere. I've got my first bait rod I ever had back there. That's my old rod stash. So I recommend starting out with a Dobbins Fury 806 SB. And basically it's 8 foot long. It's got some good bend to it. It bends a little bit deeper into the blank. But it's not super heavy. It's not super light. And most of the time when you're starting out throwing swim baits, you're not necessarily going like 11, 12 inches up. There's Hinkle trout right there that's like 11 inches long that weighs like 6 ounces or whatever. That's not where you're starting. You're starting with the more eco size, so a little 6-inch bait. And you don't need a broomstick to throw that. You like even the eco, I recommend guys throwing it on their heavy spinnerbait rod. It bends a little bit deeper in the rod. It's not super tippy, and it can generally handle something up around that ounce and a half range. And I'd recommend starting there. I mean, when a bait's that small, and I keep going back to this one, but it's a great starter. It's a great starter rod or great starter bait. But like the hooks on that thing, it's a size 2. It's not that much. It's basically the same size as like a square bill crankbait, like the hooks on there. And if you go with 8 foot really heavy broomstick rod, like you're gonna rip the hooks out of their mouth a lot. So you do kind of want that deeper bend. You want something that's a little bit softer.
Okay.
Absolutely. So
Travis first says, "What's up, Josh?" Yeah, Travis. I think Josh. I thanked you earlier. Don't know if you just got on or not, but I thanked you earlier for getting us in touch with Josh. What about line?
So when you're going with smaller baits like this, I used to say just 20-pound mono across the board. But as I've fished smaller and smaller and smaller glide baits, I've noticed so this bait performs the best on 15-pound fluoro, but that's a little bit of a stretch for a lot of guys. Like it's still a $95 bait. That's still that's a lot of people don't want to do that. So I kind of recommend that 17 range. So 17-pound fluoro is great for the little guys. As you start getting bigger into the bigger stuff, I recommend 20 or 25-pound mono. I really like mono. I like the stretch in it. Generally you're working glide baits towards the top of the water. So I like that line's trying to pull it up just a little bit. So if you're fishing smaller stuff, 15 to 17-pound fluoro, and then bigger stuff, 20, 25-pound mono is kind of where I find myself most of the time.
All right.
And I do a lot of my cranking on mono. I seem like you get hung a lot less with mono. It kind of shocks and it comes out of cover, hang-ups a little better, seems like to me.
Yeah, and I think the extra stretch allows the bait to really kind of shoot to one corner, because like you're talking about with the way it kind of stretches, it loads up and allows it to come over cover better. I feel like the mono almost slingshots the bait a little bit more than fluoro, and definitely more than braid. But yeah, it kind of loads up and shoots that bait just a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Travis says the kids are throwing the Eco a bunch. Very starter glide friendly.
Awesome.
And I just want to say congrats to the boys that fished the championship on Chickamauga. Chase O'Dean says clutch swim baits are the bomb. I met these guys at Expo in El Reno, Oklahoma when I was working a booth for Vector Hooks.
That was a fun show. It was great.
Yeah.
Chase is good people. I like Chase. Chase is my buddy.
Reel speed, does it matter?
Yes. But it depends on the size of the reel. So I guess we'll kind of go down this rabbit hole a little bit. So the smaller the reel, so like I'm sure you've seen, like I think Shimano and Dio have all come out with like their 70 size reel, and then what I throw is up to like the 300 size reel. So like basically the higher the number, the bigger your spool diameter is. So like a 70 is a really, really thin diameter spool, and a 300 is really, really thick. Well, you probably hear all the time like, oh, you're supposed to throw swim bait on like a 5-3-1 or 6-3-1 reel. Well, they're talking about those really big diameter, really big diameter spools that have a big circumference with it. So basically gear ratio is broken down. So like every single one reel handle turn. So like if it's a 5-3-1, every time you do one rotation, that spool spins 5.3 times. Correct. So that's how they derive their gear ratios. So the bigger the reel, and you give it one turn, the more line pickup you're going to have. I don't know, 5-3-1 of like a 70 size spool. That one turn, you're not taking up that much line. So your inches per turn is what really matters. Correct. I find like with the smaller stuff, if you stick to that 150 to 100 size reel, I really like a 7-3-1. If you go up to the 300 size, I usually back it down to a 6-3-1 or the 5-3-1, and that's roughly the same inches per turn as like a 150 size reel, 7-3-1. Does that make sense at all?
Yep, it does.
It does Absolutely. To me. I learned on the IPTs. That's what I call it, the inch per turn.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, what? You know, they don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know? And that's how I learned.
Yeah.
You know, like with jigs, most of your fishing, you want a higher pickup ratio.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how fast it is. You just want to be able to pick up as much line as possible. Where cranking, you don't really worry about that.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I understand why they don't label it too much as inches per turn, because like it changes throughout your cast. So like as more line builds up on the spool, the bigger the spool gets and your faster your inches per turn is. So like you're speeding up throughout the cast. So I get why they don't do that, but I think in the fishing as a whole, we've kind of neglected to kind of inform people like, hey, inches per turn is what really matters, not necessarily gear ratio.
Right.
Gotcha.
Chase O'Dean says Chase O'Dean. I'm sorry, Chase. Dobbins Fury with a loose 300, 6-8-1. What I fish my clutch swim bait on.
I know a lot of people that lose 300 and they really, really like it. So that's a good reel too.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure.
My buddy Javon. That's my buddy Javon. Hey, young guy from back home. Hey, Javon, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah. Any chance you have a nice threading style bait handy that you could hold up?
Threading. What do you mean by threading?
Now, I noticed when you held that bait up, line tie is horizontal as opposed to vertical. Does that help out?
It doesn't, to be 100% honest, it doesn't matter. Okay. So the big difference and like from a like just fishing a glide bait standpoint, you don't need to worry about this, but like from a design standpoint, like the whether it's horizontal or vertical doesn't really matter. What matters is the line tie correlation to the central point of buoyancy on a bait. That's what ends up mattering. So sometimes if it's vertical, you can get it a little bit higher and you can kind of manipulate stuff that way. But from a just standard throwing standpoint, it doesn't matter. Okay. Thread thin. Actually, I do. Got another one right there. Lucky I was throwing it on Saturday.
or
Awesome.
something.
So it's an eco. So this one's, my lighting in here is kind of weird. But gold with a little bit of purple shimmer in there. The one I was holding up before was purple flash, which has got a lot of purple and it's pretty flashy at the bottom too. But that's the Threadfin Eco. Get my fingers out of the way.
Awesome.
Gold top, a little purple on the sides. That's probably that's our number one color in the Eco, and it catches them for sure.
It looks like a threadfin shad up here.
Yeah, exactly.
When are we going to put the Clutch Swimbait Company Big Bass Championship?
When both me and you have time, Travis. I think between my schedule and your schedule, I don't know if that's going to happen for a while.
Yep.
You're really, really busy. I'm busy. Like that's tough. That's going to be really tough to do.
Yeah.
And not make it on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we covered rod, reel, line. Time is overrated, he says.
I mean, yeah, but there's only so much of it.
Overrated and underpleasured, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
What about Barking Brewers had to ask, so how do you, so I know what to have Rob send me one.
Yeah.
Oh, you want Scott to send them?
The thread.
Yep. It's all good.
Yeah.
What about action? Or, how do you work the bait?
So there's several different retrieves. But at the end of the day, what I always tell guys that are just starting out is, hey, make the bait look alive. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So just make it look alive in the water. So if you give it a slow retrieve, it's just going to have good slalom back and forth in the water. If you start getting really choppy with the reel handle, it's going to cut back and forth really quick. Best thing I can say is just starting out, mix it up a little bit, do a little bit of everything, and then just figure out what the fish want for that day, basically.
Yep.
So sometimes they're going to want it on that slow retrieve and not doing much. Or like Sunday, what they were doing for me is like I'd cast it over a piece of cover, I'd slow retrieve it, and then the second I kind of got them coming after it, I'd start reel or rod popping it really, really fast, trying to make that thing dance really quick, and that's when they'd hit it. So it's kind of one of those. It depends on the day. Sometimes they want it slow, sometimes they want it faster, sometimes they want it in between. You just kind of gotta feel it out.
Yeah, and then sometimes their mood change during the day. I've seen where they want it real choppy and they want it real slow. I mean, just like that, like a switch. Yeah,
yeah. But it's anything. Just make it look alive. Make it look like a fish in the water. You're going to get some action, or you're going to get them to come after it.
Nice. Absolutely. They'll let you know what they like real quick.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, you just answered my next question. Is do you let the reel use the work or the rod?
So most of the time it's reel. Most of the time I'm working it with the reel. Sometimes I start kind of getting a little choppy with it with the rod. Kind of depends on just the day. Kind of, let's be honest, you're working a heavy rod, a heavy bait. Like you only want to impart so much rod action into it. Right. So I don't really use the rod unless it's necessary. And like sometimes you can get it more like. With the reel, I can get this thing to wide glide more so, and I can get it to chop a little bit wider. If I'm trying to literally get it to turn in place, like I'm walking a frog just underneath the water, I'll impart the rod into it, and I can generally get it to not work as wide. So
I got you.
Kind of depends on the day.
I got you.
Javon says, not much, just got a few tackle orders in he's about to go through.
Sweet.
How you been?
Good. Doing good, Javon. Hope you're doing good, well, buddy.
Yeah. Rob, you have any questions?
Yeah. I mean, boy, you've covered over a lot. I mean, I've learned a lot just what you got.
I know.
But like when I guess hook set, you just kind of like you wait. It's like a top water. You feel them kind of go after it. You kind of wait for them to pull you. Or what's your best on hook set advice on that?
So make sure you have good hooks. One, two, because the better quality your hook, the sharper they are. The better the less you have to do. Basically, it's just kind of lean into them. You definitely don't want a jig hook set where you get on your toes and swing.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to rip it out of their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So just kind of like a crankbait. Load up on them and just wind. The second you give them anything, and the second you actually play them and let them fight, they're gone.
Oh yeah,
it's a heavy bait. They know how to use the leverage to their advantage. So you got to trust you got quality equipment and just wind. And if your buddy's not there with the net, you just boat flip it. So
yeah,
regardless of how big it is, like.
Yeah. In other words, like Gerald would say, you just pencil sharpener, just pencil sharpen.
and that goes back to the reel that we were talking about earlier, where the 300 size spool. So the lower your gear ratio, the more power you have, and the more wenching power you have with it. And the higher the gear ratio is, like an 8-to-1 or a 10-to-1 gear ratio. I mean, you get a 2-pounder on there, you're like, I can't move it. And so like that's the other balancing act with everything is like, so the bigger the spool, the lower the gear ratio, the more your inches per turn, but the more power you have. So yeah, that's why I tend to go with a little bit higher or bigger, larger spool, just because you have more power.
I got you.
Carly Joe Fishing says, "Hey guys, hey Carly, how you doing?"
Carly?
Oh yeah, I know she has a clutch swim bait. I know she's got one.
She's got a couple.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know she does.
Travis says, "Don't turn them for sure. Leverage wins a lot. Boat flip."
Yep.
So Rob, you're gonna have to put up that spinning rod for these baits, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'll do that for that.
Travis is saying they lose a lot of big fish on a darter at the time from doing stupid stuff like that, like turning them back on themselves and just they're gone.
Yep.
Having now with trips.
Yep. Don't play with them. Bring them to the boat.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're not going to try to, like a jerkbait some people do, they try to get multiple hooks in them?
Nope. Trust your equipment and just because like if you've got them pulling forward and they're back here and they're on that thing, like it just you've got them right where you want them. Just load her up and boat flip.
Yep. Got them pinned where you want them. Exactly.
Carly says she loves her clutch.
I appreciate it.
Now, is she talking about the swim bait or the little purse with no handle? I'm just trying to.
Knowing her is the swim bait, I can guarantee.
Yeah. And for all you people out there who knows what a clutch is, I don't know why I brought that up, but anyways,
to be honest, I don't know what that is.
It's basically a changed purse for women, so it's 10 times the size of a changed purse. Travis Birch lost his biggest Dabanawa fish trying to turn one. That's
Travis's little private lake, or not. I don't know if it's private or not. He lives on a lake, little community lake in Kansas, and it's got giants in it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we've been out there, done a lot of product testing on that lake.
Awesome.
And he says he hasn't turned one since.
Yeah, it takes so many big fish to learn before you're like, I'm never doing that.
What takes one to learn your lesson? Takes one to learn your lesson.
Unless you're like me and it takes 3. But
yeah. I was about to say 1. I don't know. I've lost fish doing the same thing so many times I don't even want to count.
Yep. But then afterwards you're like, man, I knew that lesson.
What was I doing? What was I thinking? That's what I do.
Yeah. Travis Birch says it's private, was the original testing grounds.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Carly, the only clutch I own belongs in the water. I had to ask my mom the other clutch was.
That's funny.
I'm not surprised, but no, I'm showing my age a little bit right there because that was a thing back when I was younger. Girls had clutch purses, so.
Yep.
Travis says we need another one of those days again.
Yeah.
Color. Do you think it really matters?
In my mind, there's 2 schools of thought on color. You need something that's bone, which is just white, basically.
Yep.
And then you need something that looks like a shad, like we were talking about earlier with the thread fin. So something natural, something bone. And a lot of people don't realize, like, so they see bone and they're like, man, that's not natural. It's a lot more natural than a lot of people think. So like when a fish is starting to die, it loses basically all of its pigment and it just kind of just starts glowing in the water, just turns to a pale white, and bone emulates that just great. Like it really glows in the water just like a dying fish. So you can get away with bone in a lot clearer water than you probably would think you would. Probably around that 3 foot range is kind of where I draw the line and start going a lot more natural. But Bone's probably my number one producing color.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
Travis Burke, John Stallinger. You know that's what you use on the weekends is a clutch purse.
Oh man!
Him and Joe are at me tonight.
I keep you on your toes.
Yeah,
Keep your soft plastics organized real well. Those Ned rigs that you don't throw.
there you go.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
But
That's a great marketing thing right there. Someone needs to sell a clutch purse with a bunch of Ned rig stuff in it because those people that throw the Ned rigs are all about the clutch purses.
there you go. Hey, I don't throw it.
I'm looking at you, Travis.
Uh-oh. Travis, you've been called out, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate you, Josh, for sticking up for me. And even though the first company to make a bone, wonder if they just burnt some plastic and called it bone.
Probably.
It could be. Travis Temptation Tackle Clutch Purse. There you go.
He's already got the name for it. He's already got the name.
I got caught up on that. I was like, we just need the clutch off. And it's like, okay, no, that was
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Travis, that could be your new swimbait carrier, the Clutch Purse.
Yeah. Running some
No, Poe's used to make they still make it, but it's not the same. A jackpot, which was a top water bait bone.
I gotcha.
And up here, that was phenomenal. Largemouth, smallmouth, perch, anything. You know, you could have 6 different colors as long as it was bone or black. You know.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's the old guys. They still say that.
Travis is crazy. Either throws finesse or clutch glides. Not much in between.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
That sounds like a poker player to me. I don't
Yeah,
know
exactly,
why.
right? You're either all in or you're conservative.
All in. He's all in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he could be all in with a Ned rig, though. I don't know how you can do that.
You gotta have a conservative game. You got to be a little bit conservative from time to time. You got to know when to go for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, you know, the biggest thing, you know, people talk about now, electronics.
Yeah.
You think this new forward-facing sonar stuff is good with the swim bait? Or do you think people get too caught up into it?
So that's we're coming into some like really like hush water, which I know Milliken's been throwing like glides and stuff forward facing, but there's some techniques there that I know a couple guys are working on, and it's not just throwing a glide on forward facing sonar. There's a lot more intricacies to it than that, but they're kicking out some giant bags. Brock Bila, both me and Travis's buddies, one of them. That dude got on a bite this summer on Lake of the Ozarks with a Boss, which is 9 3/4 inch bait. He caught, I think it was over 100 pounds of fish in 4 days on Lake of the Ozarks with a Boss. Only one fish was caught on a Demiki rig, and everything else was on a swim bait. So he's doing that. Guys like Trey McKinney and JT Tompkins are on the cutting edge of this stuff too, where they're literally figuring out a technique within a technique that's just it's so deadly on those 5-6 pounders, and it's what if you get on that bite, you won't get beat.
Wow.
Travis says, Josh, the day clutch idea was born, I was throwing Neds, shakers, and KGBs.
That was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
So, what you're saying is they're Carolina rigging them?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Josh, you need a clutch swim bait wraps. Call them the clutch purses.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
We just need to get the boxes made again. We had some awesome boxes, and the suppliers kind of stopped producing them, and we're working on that now. But that should be coming soon. I think we got to get a lead now.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Now, what is a better time? I know probably a little bit of wind, a little bit of chop. What's kind of the ideal conditions you want to maybe say, hey, this is ideal conditions. I need to throw one.
So in my mind, if you've got like kind of right around the spawn, the immediate post spawn, if you see those big poofy clouds in the sky, like the giant poofy clouds, you know you're going to go out there and wreck them on a glide that day.
Okay.
A little bit of wind, those big poofy clouds, or some sunlight. It just kind of those are the right conditions. It kind of seems like there's some storms kind of potentially coming up, stuff like that.
Yep.
It's gonna be a good day.
Okay, good deal.
Now, Jeremy Mays from Virginia, and he fished up here, and we had 6 footers.
Waves?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's normal apparently.
No, but it's relatively normal here.
Okay.
So when you say wind,
Not that much wind.
No, not hurricane wind. No,
that's not hurricane though. That's fall.
That glide's gonna look like a dolphin coming out of the water, I feel like.
So basically, just a little chop.
Yeah, just
Okay. All right.
yeah. If your trolling motor's coming out of the water, maybe a little too much.
yeah.
Just say it.
there's some guys that have caught him on it, but it's tough to work that. Like a nice ripple on the water. Like that's what you're going for. You're not walleye chops too much. 6 footers are definitely too much. Nice little break up on the water.
Gotcha.
Travis says, "Crazy how fast you're growing, amazing and impressive all at once."
Thanks, Travis.
Cool.
Cotton ball cumulus clouds. Sure spelled that wrong.
We know what you mean.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I meant to say cumulus clouds, not Camillus. Camillus is a town about 35 minutes away from me.
It's all the meteorological.
There you go.
They're all rough.
We know what you meant, man. You good?
Yeah, but next time we end up in Michigan, I'm going to wreck them lake fishing on a swim bait.
There you go.
I don't think he's ever been that far up north, has he?
No, he's been up Michigan before. Yeah,
Oh,
he's got some. Yeah, he's got some. I think some folks up in Michigan. He's been up that way.
What do you think about using a braid but a softer rod?
So, I personally don't like braid at all.
Okay.
And the reason why, so like I'm sure you've casted a frog or something, and you've made a big long cast, and it goes tunk middle of the air, and it stops and falls down. Well, when you start throwing a bait that's like 3+ ounces, you can break 50-pound braid on the cast. Like if you make that big long cast, it goes tunk, and that bait weighs that much. That braid doesn't have a lot of shock absorbency. It's so easy to break. And when baits are costing over $100, it's kind of playing with fire.
Or it kinks up and you pay for it later when you set your hook and it bing. It's like, what happened?
Now in terms of performance, I mean, braid, so you don't have the stretch like we were talking about earlier, but the one thing that braid does offer is it's a lot thinner line diameter, which can be really good because one of the things that kind of is a force that acts on a swim bait that can make it perform a little bit can affect the action on it is that line drag through the water. So that line, so if it's a really thick diameter line, as it's going through the water, there's a lot of water being forced on it. So a thinner diameter line is going to cut through that water a lot better. So a thinner line, like a braid 30-pound test, is going to potentially increase the action in that instance. It can kind of make up for the lack of stretch. But in my mind, you're just playing with fire. Like you're gonna have a bad cast and it's gonna double over on itself. You're gonna lose a really expensive bait. So I would stick with the mono.
Yep, absolutely.
Brandon Ackerson says, "What's up?"
You got all my buddies jumping on this thing tonight.
Yeah.
Oh man, awesome.
This sounds like a voice of experience. Travis says braid snaps way too easy.
I think that is from experience.
Yep, sounds like it.
Barking Guru says, "I find mono loses a lot less fish by holding tension in the fish better with a big swim bait."
Yeah,
for sure.
Got a little bit of shock absorption in there too. Seems like,
Yep. Well, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's like throwing a big crankbait. Travis Birch says, "The kids I boat captain for me didn't believe me until they snapped the 10XD on braid.
Ooh.
Then they listened, responded, respooled, started catching them."
Yep.
Yeah.
Like we said, it only takes once.
Yep. That's an expensive lesson.
Yep.
So now to go back, you want a rod that's more parabolic with a longer bend.
A little bit deeper into the blank, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want So like my favorite rod for throwing a glide bait it's an expensive rod. It's an Alpha Angler wide glide.
Okay.
It's, when you're casting it and working it, it's a little bit tippier. It's wild how they got it to work. It's like a glass graphite hybrid or something. It's a wild rod. But when you're casting it and working it, it's very tippy. But when you load up on it, it loads really deep into the actual blank. And that you don't lose a lot of fish on it, and you get the best action out of the baits, in my opinion. Like I love that rod. I think I've got 4 of them. It's such a good rod.
It's like a 60-40 kind of mix or so. Almost.
I don't know the technical behind it, but like it's all I know is that tip. It's very, very tippy when you're casting it and working it. Like it doesn't bend super deep into the blank, and then when you load up on a fish, it loads throughout the whole blank.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Andy Schleiger says, "Hey, what's Rob Welch? What's up, bro?"
Hey, Andy, how's it going, buddy? Hope you knocked him. He was out trout fishing today. I was jealous of him. I was at work, and he's trout fishing, so dirty dog.
What do private lessons cost?
I don't have time for that. I don't have time to fish myself, man.
Oh, man, I heard that. Oh, there we go.
Travis Birch, they knew why I said not to throw the clutches. I gave them after that. Was $10 lesson with a 10XD, but now they get it. Yeah.
Now catfish is swimming around at 10XD, probably.
Probably. We've mentioned it a couple times on here. John will have a hard time believing this, but I have a couple 7.6 rods that are thicker with a lot of backbone and mono. You pull a John, Rob.
I know.
That's all right.
It's still storming here, so.
Oh, you still got storms? Okay. So you'd mentioned price a couple times. I know that's one of the things that sticker shock out, we call it up here.
Yep.
How do you tell the difference between a good quality, good price versus a bad quality, high price?
So kind of the main thing in my opinion to look for is the actual material it's built with. I'm trying to see if I've got like an ABS plastic bait around here. So like, okay, it's different. It's a crankbait, but like it's see-through plastic. Like the internals is just air. Like it's 2 pieces that were welded together, and it's basically like that. There's some glide baits out there made like that that are plastic, and generally like if you do a quick Google search for like plastic glide bait, and there's a bunch of like blank painters out there, and they all pretty much get their blanks from the same couple sites. Generally, if it's designed by a Chinese man to make $1, it's not going to perform as good as if it's made by someone that's very passionate about it and puts a lot of time and effort on it. Right. So you kind of get what you pay for there. There's definitely some good plastic ones out there. In my opinion, the plastic ones that are really good are like the S-Waver, like we were talking about. The Storm Arashi is a good one. A lot of people are having a lot of success with the Spro KGB one. That's a plastic one. That's around that $60 range. It's a good starting spot. But in terms of resin, we don't make any plastic ones right now. We just make kind of solid resin, which is just like, this thing is solid, like clear through it. It's not hollow like the other ones. It's a solid block of material. And those are the ones that are generally going to perform better.
Brandon says you need to come down to Grand soon.
I know. Man, Grand seems to fish more fun in the wintertime. Like I can't imagine Grand's too much fun this time of year. Like it's hot. Like it's hot. Like
this time of year, you need to come north.
Yeah, exactly. Go catch some smallmouth.
Yeah. I mean, I got an extra room.
I'm on my way. I'll pack the truck.
All right. Have Travis pick you up. There's 2 beds in there.
There we go.
You guys can fight over the queen or the full size.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part about staying here is you probably get homemade cookies. So
that's
not so bad.
Brandon says go at night.
Yeah, but night fishing's night fishing.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's still hot.
It is. Now up here, they do some night tournaments. One of the advantages of night tournaments is it's kind of reverse, because the darker it gets, the more top water you throw.
Yeah.
Up here. And saw bellies or alewives,
Yeah.
they come out at night. And they're a big forage up here, bait fish. And that's when we start throwing the bait fish type of baits. Do you think that would work? Your 12 and 14-inch baits would work good at night?
The alewives, I know there's a lot of glide bait bites that kind of follow that around.
Okay.
So I've especially like the darter that we have. The darter's been a really good alewife bait, and that's only 7 1/4, so it's not super long.
Right.
But you're saying your bait fish get a lot bigger, like 12 to 14 inches?
No, I was just curious.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Because I didn't think alewives got that big. I thought
no, they don't. They don't. They get about 6 to 8.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah.
14 to 16 on 3 to win jackpots. That's
good.
That's not bad. That's not a bad sack.
Yeah.
Have a meeting with Syracuse. Uh-oh.
Going north for World Fishing Tour 2025. Here we go.
There you go.
That's right there next to the woods, John. There you go.
Yeah. He can hit Cayuga Lake while he's up there.
Hey, there you go.
Wasn't there just a 12-pounder caught out there or something? Was that the lake that was caught?
Yeah, that's a record. Yeah.
12.3.
Monster.
And last year, a 9-something smallie.
Dang. Some big ones. 2026.
Yep.
Got to bump up that date to next year, Travis. Come on.
Make it happen, man. You can
We'll
do
go
it.
to New York. Let's go.
He's waiting until you can get some time off so he can come up and fish.
Yeah, maybe 2020.
There you go.
No, 25 is almost finalized, working on 26. Nice.
Wow. Head of the game.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can help you with, Travis, up here, let me know. So this is part of the show where we'd like to let you take over after I ask you a question.
Okay.
What's your favorite homemade cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Okay.
There you go. Winner.
Yeah. My wife makes me 2 dozen for every tournament.
There you go. we actually had a new person. This is actually on. So our shop has 2 different sides. There's the motion fishing side, which Bobby Roberts with Motion Fishing makes jigs, soft plastics. And then there's the clutch side. And the motion side had a new employee start today. And on their first day, they brought in a homemade chocolate chip cookie. So that was pretty sweet.
Wow. That's winning right there.
So what you need to do is tell him to fire that person and then hire him again the next day.
Really great. Now you're thinking.
Yeah. No, but this is the time we like to let the guests talk about themselves, talk about sponsors, people who've helped you along the way, and to get to where you are.
Yeah. So, I mean, Travis is on here. Travis was a huge part in the beginning of this thing. It's crazy. And it's just gotten more and more complex. Like I don't want to forget people. But like Travis was a big one. Byron Childers with Missile Baits has been a huge one. Same thing with John. Justin Kimmel from Georgia with the darter and everything. He's had a huge effect on the business. But yeah, there's just so many people. I can't name them all right now. I'd have to go down. Brandon was took a long time for huge influence in getting me to quit my job.
Oh, okay, I got you.
He's like, just do it, man. You're fine. Just
go for it.
I was definitely a lot. I was definitely not wanting to take that risk. It was a big. It's to quit your 9 to 5 and like your normal job. That's a huge.
That's a big step. That's a step off the cliff, and hope you land.
Yeah, and it's been great so far. I mean, it'll be 2 years in October that I've been full time.
Wow.
And it's gone by like it's a month.
Man, you
like a year too long, but he eventually listened to us.
Yeah.
Now, you said it's only 2 years?
So I've been working for myself full time for 2 years.
Right.
The business has been around for, I believe, I've been selling baits for 3 in October. I think that's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah. It's relatively new still. Yeah. It's very young.
Yeah, y'all pushed the needle in that short of time. You really pushed the needle. I give you credit.
It's been crazy. That's for sure. Been very blessed.
Now, he was losing money by going to work. You were.
Yeah.
But you know what? As long as you're happy.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like I retired at the age of 29. Like it's incredible.
He's still a kid, Rob.
Oh yeah, he is. He's wow.
Now,
yeah, 31. I'm getting old.
I got a son older than he is. What the heck, man? It's all good. It's all good.
No, we appreciate you coming on, talking to us, because I really wanted to get into them because not a lot of people throw. Travis says you are conservative. I'm a gambler and saw the future jackpot, as did all of us that knew you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely conservative on a lot of stuff, but I'm learning. I'm learning to be more aggressive, for sure.
Cool.
No, I don't see a lot of people. I mean, Bailey Ebert, he's about the only one I know that throws a swim bait up here. He's a kayak fisherman, fish of the Hobie series. I see him throwing it once in a while, but I don't see that many people throwing it up here. And that's one of the things that interests me is doing something different.
You need to get on it quick because I promise you there will be people in the next 3-4 years that are starting to throw it and starting to utilize it. Like this is the golden, like if there's only like one guy up there throwing it, like this is the perfect time to get on it. Cause like the bite's never going to be this good again. Like you're missing out for sure.
Absolutely.
You might get a couple stolen by some pike, but
it happens.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get the kinks worked out with a less expensive one.
There you go. Yeah, start with Stormarashi. Stormarashi is a great one to start with.
Yeah. Well, I think I have 6 of the S waivers out of the dozen I have.
Yeah.
I bought.
You just got to throw it. It's the way I look at a expensive or bait is like it's no different than a tournament entry fee.
You're right.
And $150, $200 to go fish for a day, you might make your money back. I mean, most of the time you don't make your money back. And it's once you spend the money on the glide bait, you got to assume it's gone and you got to just enjoy it. Otherwise it's more wasted money just sitting on the shelf than if you've spent the money. You might as well get the full experience out of it. You're not getting the full experience just having it sit there and looking at it. It's just you're gonna have so much fun fishing that thing. You're gonna see so much crazy stuff that you never thought you'd see while fishing. Like it's worth the money to have that experience for sure.
Absolutely.
From my perspective.
Yeah. What hooks do you put on your baits?
So they're BKKs.
Okay.
We've kind of got in a little bit of a deal with them where we're running BKKs right now.
Okay.
Do you think hook manufacturer matters?
Yes. So I've been trying to make a video on this for a while, and I've had a hard time articulating it because it's a very, very deep rabbit hole. But like, so there's hooks. There's 2 extremes. There's the bend out real easy, and then there's very rigid. And the happy, somewhere in the middle is a good happy medium. Because it's really easy to make a hook that really tries to bend out real easy. The downside to a really flexible hook like that, or there's positives and negatives to everything.
Right.
The downside is if it's flexible, it's going to bend out easier. The positive is it's not going to snap. If it's too rigid of a hook, and there's definitely some of those out there where it's too rigid, it's very pointy, it's very sharp, and you apply a bunch of pressure to it, you will snap the hook. So somewhere in the middle is perfect. I tend to try to lead a little bit more towards the more rigid wire because it takes less effort to have a higher hookup ratio. A more flexible hook has got to give a little bit more in order to get hook penetration into the fish's mouth. So a sharper, stiffer hook is going to have better hook penetration. You just got to make sure that hook wire is strong enough to be able to withstand boat flipping an 8-pounder without snapping the hook. So that's kind of is there a perfect hook out there? No. Is there some good ones? Yes. Are there some bad ones? Yes. So got to try to just juggle that whole act basically.
I know like certain baits, you change the hooks on them, they don't perform the same.
Yeah. I mean, glide baits are probably the most finicky bait out there. A little bit of weight in different spots can make a huge difference. Like if the big thing, like on a glide, like if you start adding a bunch of weight to the tail, that thing is going to start swimming like crazy in it, or not good crazy, bad crazy. So like they're very finicky. And you definitely don't want to overload weight in different locations on them because they will start acting weird on you. So the way I recommend switching hooks is try to switch or change them up in proportion. Don't add a really heavy one to the back and a lighter one to the front. Don't add a really heavy one to the front and a little bit lighter one to the back. If there's a bigger hook on the front, a smaller hook on the back, like the darter here, keep that proportions the way it is. Like, add a bigger one. If you're trying to upsize, go like a 1/0 here and a size 1 here. Don't start messing with your proportions, because then you're going to start affecting the action.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right. Anything else, Rob?
No, I just a quick question. I kind of fish a lot of TVA lakes in Tennessee, a little bit of Kentucky. Kind of what do you suggest? The smaller glides, or what do you suggest kind of going with on TVA?
Big.
Oh, the big boys. Okay.
I don't even know if I have a boss here. They're way over there. But 9 3/4 inch bait all day long. There's been some bags caught on a 9 3/4 inch glide on the TVA that I've heard about this year. Giant bags, like well over 30.
Wow.
Yeah. Big. They're sinking it down, and like we were talking about JT and Trey, like they've caught some monster bags on the TVA this year working glide bait like no one else is working it. So
okay, I got you. Sweet, appreciate it.
Sink her down.
All right, sink her down and hunker down. I got you.
Hold on, because they'll rip the rod out of your hand for sure.
Ooh.
It's a fun bite. It's a real fun bite.
I love them kind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm like I said, you've opened my eyes, because I didn't, I would have thought braid, but then mono makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
mono makes a lot more sense than that.
I get the hang up. Like I get it. Like it's an expense. Like we hear it all the time at shows. It's like it's an expensive bait. I want to throw 80-pound braid on it. I want to throw a chain. I want to throw like braided wire because they don't want to lose it. And it's like we like we talked about. You got to assume the bait's gone and enjoy the bait for as long as you can. And to do that, you have to get the best performance out of the bait, and you will not have the best performance out of the bait with 80-pound braid, and you won't have it with a steel big wire hanging out on the front of it. Like it just. It hurts the action too much, and it's going to hurt how many fish you can catch on it.
Nice. Only take that rod out of those glides for 8 to 10 hours. Regretted not doing it earlier.
Got one last question from my old buddy Mark and Ruger's here.
Yeah.
Hey, I missed this while I lost service. What's the big difference between 2-joint versus 3-joint baits?
So 2 joints going to be a glide, and then 3+ is going to be just kind of a swim bait. So I have a 3. Okay, so basically the more joints. Actually, we'll throw a prototype here. Hold on. It's not even a prototype. We're not coming out with this. It's just something I made a while back. So multi-joint darter. As it comes to the water, there's more drag on the back end, and basically it's going to work more serpentine-like in the water. A glide is going to be a lot more kicking out to the side, and it's going to have a lot more versatility in the way that you work it. This is basically a one-trick pony. You're just casting it out there, reel it super, super fast, and it's just shimmying through the water real quick. You can stop it and pop it every once in a while, but for the most part, a multi-joint is for being really, really fast, covering a ton of water. Where glide is, you can do a little bit of that, but for the most part, it's more fishing around cover, trying to get a big, sweeping, wide, just look out of the bait. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. You got more options with the two joint.
Yeah. It seems like you catch, like, I seem to get more fish activity on a glide than I do a multi-joint. Like, multi-joint's very, very specific. Like, very niche time to actually throw it.
Okay, I got you.
All right, well, Josh, we appreciate you coming on, spending time with us. Definitely opened some eyes here tonight. We appreciate it. And like I said, if you're ever in New York, I'm 15 minutes away from Cuba Lake.
Okay.
Got the state record largemouth and smallmouth.
It's kicking out some big ones lately.
So, yes, there's some big fish. And appreciate you coming on. Take care. Much more success in your future. I can tell that. And
I appreciate it.
I want to say thank you, Travis, for hooking the two of us up to get you on the show. And Travis does a great show.
Oh, absolutely.
You take care and have a good night, buddy.
Yeah, you guys too. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, man. I'll see you in Knoxville, man. I'll definitely see you in Knoxville. But hey, hang out for a couple minutes after we end the show, and just want to talk to you just for a minute. But if you'll hang out just for a minute,
for sure, sounds good.
All right, thanks, buddy.
We'll see you.
All right.
Wow,
that was a ton of juice, guys.
if you don't feel inspired to throw a swim bait now, I don't know what is. I kind of want to go out and buy some mono tonight because I don't think I own any.
Oh, I got some still. I'm set.
I do, but it's probably 20 years old.
Oh, now you don't do that.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Well, we're going to let you guys get out of here. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow we have Frank Geiner. He's a jig fisherman from the Northeast. And he's going to be on and talk to us about fishing jigs. Travis Birch says best glide bait maker in the country.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right. So everybody have a good night and take it easy.
Peace out.